Okay, so I'm itching to make a video, but it's a rainy day out, so I'm not gonna make a video out there. So I decided to show you where I've been this year. So this is a map of the entire network. I'll get a little bit more in depth in a minute. Just to give you a brief overview of what exists, and I'll talk about my plans for next year as well. So, as you might have noticed, this is where I've been this year. So this is where my home mooring is. This is Rufford, where I got my blacking done earlier in the year. And then Wigan, Worsley, came all the way down the Bridgewater Canal onto the Trenton Mersey, turned off at Middlewich, came down to Llangollen, and then came all the way back up to Chester, back to Middlewich and down onto the Macclesfield, up to Whaley Bridge, back through Manchester and back to home. So I'll get the guidebooks out and show you exactly where I've been. So I live on this page somewhere, and I travel right the way down. This is Parbold here. So I travelled, in that unedited video, I travelled from here to here. Where are we going from here? Page 82. So, don't know where that is. Oh, that's the Rufford branch. Yeah, so this goes from Apley Bridge, just past Parbold, down to Crook Marina, into Wigan. A lot of these markings are made by the people that lived on the boat before me. So this is now come past Wigan onto Lee, onto the Bridgewater, and that's the Wigan flight, so we're not going past there. Right, and this is Lee. So I stayed, where is it? About here in Marsland Green. Oh, going the wrong way. Page 34. So yeah, came along here up to Worsley. I stopped a night in Worsley. And then this is up to the junction in Manchester, down to 29, through Stretford and Sale, round Dunham Massey. I stayed about, where was it? Probably about here when I stayed in Dunham Massey. And Lymm, from Lymm onto Stockton Heath, and once you come down here you get into a tunnel that takes you onto the Trenton Mersey. I want to go and have a little look at this little Runcorn branch at some point. Maybe I'll do that on the way out next year. So we're going to page 172 now. Let's have a look. So from page 172, yeah, here we go. So this is Preston Brook Tunnel. come through and down, and this is the Weaver navigation, and you have to get down onto that by going onto what's on the next page, the Anderton boat lift. So there's a couple of tunnels and then you get to Anderton, and that's the boat lift that goes down onto the River Weaver. And so I came down here, where were we? So when I went on my Middlewich walk and went looking for a waterfall, the waterfall that was on the canal was around here. And then that's the end of that part, so let's open up our next one. I think it's book 4, yeah, that's the one. So where are we? Oh, a lot of these are Welsh canals that you won't go to. Right, so here we are. So this is Middlewich. Pretty much a mirror image of the other one, but unmarked, marked even. So page 101. 102, 101. So here's the Middlewich junction again. And came all the way down to Barbridge Junction, just down here. And then from Barbridge Junction came down to the Llangollen. And then page 18 is where Llangollen is. Let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. There's the start of the Llangollen. Covered all of that. Oh, the wrong way. Yeah, did all that. '27. And on my way back from Llangollen, this is where I started my YouTube channel, Blakemere. If any of you's ever come on a boat or come around the Llangollen Canal, highly recommend Blakemere. It was absolutely beautiful, and it was about a 2-mile walk to the Tesco, which was right at the end of the canal in Ellesmere. Let's have a look. Yeah, came all the way up through St Martin's. St Martin's had a nice little shop. And then Chirk Tunnel. And it looks like the people previous who had the boat didn't bother actually coming down this arm, to the actual basin. But then, yeah, I got to the basin myself, and it was absolutely fantastic. Again, if anyone's ever on the Llangollen and you've got the chance, I'd highly recommend going if your boat can fit. It's quite shallow on this stretch, and especially when it goes to the narrow stretches, it gets incredibly shallow. My boat's got a low enough draft to get through with pretty much no problems, but there were people with lower drafted boats than me get them through. So I won't retread old ground and show you all the way back. So we'll come back to the other book and I'll show you where we went from there. So this is back at the start of Llangollen Canal again. Obviously came back up to where we were, Northwich, Anderton. I'm a bit lost here. 169. It's down to 169 and it's not the right one. Oh, maybe because this isn't the right one, this is Middlewich. Silly me. So it'll be in this book again. So the Shropshire Union. There we are. This is the entrance to the Llangollen again. So came back up here to Chester. That's come. That's the Middlewich turn again. Is it? No. Ah, that's the wrong page. There we go. So, off the Llangollen, up here, carried on up here, and this is where Beeston Castle is. 105. So carried on all the way up to Chester, and I stayed in Chester. I got down, I think I stayed here in Chester just after this loch, after bridge 122B. I didn't go all the way into the centre, so I've still got to go to Ellesmere Port, which is up that way at some point. I only came to this windmill here, turned round, went all the way back. So again, I won't show you the journey back, but now we are actually back onto the other book. So yep, came back into Middlewich and came down towards the Macclesfield on the Trent and Mersey. So came up all these locks, stayed in Sandbach. I think I stayed around here in Sandbach. Stayed there for a couple of days, then moved on to, well, this is the one where I did all the locks, 20 something locks. It was just lock after lock after lock. And where I started to get annoyed with the locks was probably about here. About 5 or 6 locks before the end of it. And then I stayed here in Scholar Green, just after that loch there, and just before that bridge, or maybe it was just after that bridge. Yeah, it was in this little stretch here anyway that I stayed there, and then I moved on to, I was on the Macclesfield at that point, so I moved to, where are we? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so I stayed in Scholar Green, moved on up towards Congleton. I stayed in Congleton for a few days. I like Congleton. Congleton was really nice. And I moved on to up to the Bosley Locks, got through them, got me pump out and water. And that's the end of the Bosley Locks there, that's where I got me pump out and water. Moved on up to Macclesfield. And then from Macclesfield I moved up to Bollington. And I really like Bollington. Bollington's one of my favourite places that I went this year. And so we went from Bollington all the way up to Where did we stay that night? Oh yeah, we went all the way down here, past the Marple Locks and down towards Whaley Bridge on the Peak Forest. The Peak Forest, the end of the Peak Forest was really nice. There wasn't too much in my way, there were only a few bridges that had to be moved out the way. And came all the way to Whaley Bridge, which was here at the very end. And then obviously we went all the way back up to Marple Junction, did all the Marple Locks on my birthday in August. That's the Marple Locks again. We moved through them and we stayed, where was it? Just here, just by Romiley. The fallen tree that we had to navigate was about here. I came all the way up onto the Ashton Canal, Ashton-under-Lyne. This is where the canal starts to get really dirty. Just along here. Came all the way over to Manchester. And we've got a big skip to 31. So then we came all the way through Manchester to the city centre. We got through all the locks and I stayed, where was it? Oh, we must have stayed on the previous page. Oh no, Ducie Street. Stayed just around here. And then came back onto the Bridgewater. So that about concludes my entire journey for the year. And I'll show you what I intend to do next year, just in a very brief overview. I hope that wasn't too confusing a way to do it. I'll look at trying to make it digital in the future. But just now, on a rainy day, I suppose it probably would have been a good opportunity to work it all out, how to do it, but so that's the overview again of my journey this year. And next year's journey, I'm hoping to get at least to down here to Oxford. And if I make good time to Oxford, I'm hoping to get myself to Basingstoke, more specifically Fleet, because I've got some friends in Fleet that I'd like to go and visit. So we'll see how that one goes. I'm going to be taking more or less the same route round the Bridgewater onto the Trent and Mersey. I'm not going through these 20 odd locks here. I'm coming onto the Middlewich branch, coming down onto the Shropshire Union, and then I was thinking about coming back up on the Trent and Mersey up to about, well, up to past Penkridge, down on the Lichfield Canal, onto the Coventry Canal, which then leads onto the Oxford Canal, past Rugby, down past Banbury, onto the second part of the Oxford Canal. I think it's split into north and south, and then we'll be at Oxford. And if we go past Oxford, we then have to go onto the River Thames, so I need to get myself an anchor. But yeah, that's pretty much a brief overview. I hope it hasn't been too confusing. As I say, I will make it digital in the future. I'll make it much easier to follow. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed, and there's the cat. slept next to me on my bed while I did my presentation. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one, whatever it may be.